Welcome back. Close call. Former President Donald Trump survived an attempted assassination Saturday at his rally in Pennsylvania, and it has left the nation shocked.
For the country, we probably need to do some soul searching as a nation.
President Trump is fine and does plan on attending the Republican National Convention this week, although with heightened security and new questions surrounding the future of the campaign. President Biden led leaders across the country on both sides of the aisle in condemning the violence from an Oval Office address.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence, or for any violence ever.
In today's season premiere, we'll talk about the security failures that caused this, talk about how we got here, and what the path ahead is. We'll be talking about those stories and more today, July 15th, 2024. From Ishan Media, this is a special edition of the Ishan S Show, the Season 4 premiere, with me, your host, Ishan. Thank you so much for joining us here today for the season premiere of the Ishan S Show. Now, ideally, this is the first time we're coming to you on video, on some mediums at least, and the first episode we've had in a while. In fact, it's our season premiere. And that was supposed to be exciting and it was supposed to be fun. But unfortunately, our country is at a point of time right now where that sort of intriguing politics has to be put on hold because we need to have an important discussion. So most, if not all of you, have probably heard about the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump that occurred on Saturday evening. It's something that has left this nation in a very deep state of shock, to be honest, and it's created an incredibly complicated environment for this country. We've never found ourselves in a situation like this before. And so for some more details, President Trump was delivering a speech at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. And it was a very big rally that many of us in political circles were watching with some depth. The reason was that it was a Trump rally in Pennsylvania, which, as so many of you know, is a very incredibly closely watched electoral prize. B, it was one of Trump's first major events since the June 27th debate between him and President Biden. And C, there was a possibility that former President Trump was also going to announce his vice presidential pick at this rally. Now, we all know that in the last hour or so, he has picked J.D. Vance, but there was still an expectation that that could have happened. So we all were tuning in to watch. And it went pretty normally, and Trump spoke, but just minutes in, as he began to point to a chart about border crossings, loud bangs were heard, and then Trump grabbed his ear and then ducked under the podium, after which he was whisked away by Secret Service. I want to play a clip of that, a warning. Some viewers may find the contents of this video disturbing or troubling.
And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart. Take a look at what happened. Watch out.
So former President Donald Trump, as you might have been able to see, was bleeding out of his right side near the ear. His Secret Service jumped to his protection and covered him, thankfully, to keep him safe from any potential gunfire. As he was taken off the stage, he remained defiant and put out a fist to his supporters, mouthing the word "fight" multiple times. And some photojournalists on the ground captured this moment with this now widely seen photo of the former president. He was taken to a local hospital where We heard that he was doing fine, and then we later got a statement from him on his preferred Truth Social, which read, quote, "I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed, and also to the family of another person that was badly injured. It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country." He continued, "I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through my skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening." He ended with, "God bless America." As law enforcement has investigated this awful, awful incident, we are learning that one of the innocent rallygoers, an innocent man, died as a result of this whole tragedy. His name was Corey Comparator. He was a firefighter who passed away shielding his family from the bullets. He was a hero. I want to play Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's statement on Mr. Comparator.
Lost a fellow Pennsylvanian last night, Corey Comparator. I just spoke to Corey's wife and Corey's two daughters. Corey was a girl dad. Corey was a firefighter. Corey went to church every Sunday. Corey loved his community, and most especially, Corey loved his family. Corey was an avid supporter of the former president and was so excited to be there last night with him in the community. I asked Corey's wife if it would be okay for me to share that we spoke. She said yes. She also asked that I share with all of you that Corey died a hero, that Corey dove on his family to protect them last night at this rally. Corey was the very best of us. May his memory be a blessing.
Just heartbreaking. In addition to the tragic loss of life, others were also injured and rushed to the hospital to receive medical attention, as President Trump said in his Truth Social post. After this tragic event, there have been some very serious but necessary questions about the lapse in security because the shooter, who I won't identify on the show, I'm sure you guys can go find that out on your own, did what he did from a rooftop 150 yards or 440 feet away from the former president. That was incredibly close and deeply concerning. I know we're all grateful that the Secret Service was able to respond immediately, but really, how did someone get that close to a rally of this sort? That is a big question the Secret Service is going to have to answer, and they are conducting an independent review of the agency's lapse in that security measure, and hopefully they can get to the bottom of it. The shooting prompted widespread prayer and thoughtfulness for all those affected. And I want to get to all of the nice words that were said, but I want to first talk about how we got here. I know that a big part of this show is about not editorializing, and that's something I intend on maintaining here on this show. But as an American, let me just say that this is a sad moment for this country. I mean, Republican or Democrat, it doesn't matter where you find yourself on the political spectrum. This sort of behavior is just awful. And in a civil democracy, we vote, we voice, but we don't hurt. This sort of activity has no place in America. You know, I've talked to people from countries around the world, and they tell me that this country is one that they admire for its democracy and peaceful discourse. For decades, we have been the model of what a good democratic society looks like. So we should have not seen this as a big issue, but it is that issue. It should have never happened. Political violence is something that I have now grown up with. We can go far back to when former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords was shot at a constituent rally event in 2011. The Charlottesville riot in 2017, where there was a loss of life. The shooting at the congressional baseball practice that resulted in now House Majority Leader Steve Scalise getting shot. Or the kidnapping plot to kidnap and then kill Governor Gretchen Whitmer of Michigan. Or the January 6th riots. Or the threats on the lives of conservative and liberal Supreme Court justices. Or the attack on former Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, which was when a politically motivated individual intruded and attacked 82-year-old Paul Pelosi with a hammer on the head. And now, of course, this horrific incident with President Trump. What a shame that this is something that a person like myself can just remember off the top of my head. I'm definitely missing countless other incidents, but as you can understand, it's occurring and coming and hurting both sides of the political aisle. So what is causing this? Well, there's a multitude of factors that's causing this sort of action. To state the very obvious, we are a divided country. Not in a long time have we been so polarized like we are right now. I interact with voters all the time, and there's either apathy, oh, I don't know anything, and therefore I don't want to care about what happens in politics, or there's overly passionate and deeply destructive dedication. Citizens in a well-functioning democracy are informed, but also allow for discourse. Today, we don't have either of those in this country. I mean, I started this show with the hope of reaching and informing people and to allow discussion. But unfortunately, thanks to at least some of the rhetoric we hear from our leaders on both sides, the polarization is exacerbated beyond anyone's control. And that's not just my opinion. According to Pew Research, 86% of Americans feel that Republicans and Democrats are more focused on fighting each other than solving the country's problems. Additionally, 57% of Americans feel that conflict between the parties receive too much attention, while important issues get too little. And 84% of Americans think that political debate has become less respectful in recent years, and 78% believe that it has become less fact-based. This is a very obvious and pertinent issue. We don't talk to each other anymore. Fighting words are what's common, and people are quick to make assumptions about anything and everything. People are so quick to attack. So everyone is failing at maintaining a healthy democracy right now. Our leaders have not been setting good examples either through rhetoric or through incendiary remarks. I mean, just look at the aftermath of Saturday's incident. When we got the reports of what was happening to former President Trump, this congressman from Georgia, Mike Collins, without any evidence or any proof of anything of note, he posted on X, quote, "Joe Biden sent the orders." Absolutely irresponsible. Others like Matt Gaetz posted, quote, "They tried to impeach him. They're trying to imprison him. Now they have tried to assassinate him." They being the other side, Democrats. Presumably, once again, without an ounce of evidence, he's saying that. Now, look, I'm not saying that I'm going to attack one side because the other side has done equally irresponsible things in wake of this incident, saying that this was all somehow staged. I won't even put up specific tweets for that because it's just so outlandish. But I want to point to the exaggeration and the fighting tone that some leaders want to pursue, even in the wake of something as sad and tragic like this. They posted their quick divisive take without any knowledge, without any thought for the consequences, when they ignored the fact that this shooter was actually a registered Republican, member of the NRA. Not someone Joe Biden was sent to do this, but also not the type of person I'm sure these people would call for a staged incident. People need to be responsible with their platforms. And in a time like this where emotions are high, it is these moments where we have to come together, and our leaders need to use the right words, and they need to be role models. And on that note, I want to give credit to the people on both sides who have not taken advantage of this moment. but have instead met the moment with real, responsible leadership. Republicans and Democrats who have said that we need to lower the temperature and that we need to stop shutting the door on one another, that we need to respect each other again. Here's some of that.
The bottom line is what we need as a nation, what a democracy is about, is not radical rhetoric. What it is about is a serious discussion of where we are as a nation and how we go
For the country, we probably need to do some soul searching as a nation.
Acts of violence is unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
As the leader of the other side, President Biden, who was in his home in Rehoboth Beach, was immediately informed of the situation and then made a public statement condemning the violence, saying that he was genuinely grateful, Trump as well. And then he also called and then talked to President Trump, which, given the debate that we saw a few weeks ago, this is a reminder that in all of this, we have to have a conversation bigger of us. That phone call means so much. Then President Biden also made an Oval Office address, only the third of his presidency, to condemn the political violence that occurred and encourage the nation to lower the temperature. Here's some of President Biden's clip.
I want to speak to what we do know. A former president was shot, an American citizen killed, while simply exercising his freedom to support the candidate of his choosing. We cannot, we must not go down this road in America. We've traveled it before throughout our history. Violence has never been the answer. I'll continue to speak out strongly for our democracy, stand up for our Constitution and the rule of law, to call for action at the ballot box, no violence on our streets. That's how democracy should work. We debate and disagree. We compare and contrast the character of the candidates, the records, the issues, the agenda, the vision for America. But in America, we resolve our differences at the battle box. You know, that's how we do it, at the battle box, not with bullets. The power to change America should always rest in the hands of the people, not in the hands of a would-be assassin.
It's these types of moments where we have to come together. This tragic, tragic incident needs to be a reminder to every American of just what this country is facing. We do not have a choice of not meeting this moment. We have to be responsible and we have to unite. The vitriol that I see displayed on either end of the political spectrum is absolutely unacceptable and must be called out. This us versus them charade that's on full display has got to stop if we want to look forward. And that comes from different people. As citizens and as voters, you have to learn and you have to inform yourself and you have to care about politics so that you don't learn just the hate. The inability to look to the other side, or this idea that we have to stick to our tribe, is deeply destructive and serves no one in the end. We all have to be respectful. Republicans and Democrats want this country to do well. They just have very different visions of how to get there. As a media, we have to hold a responsibility to inform the public of the facts and to tell the truth. We can't just insert our personal biases because we feel like it. That, however, must not stop us from asking questions, the tough ones, and calling out wrong when we see it. Our leaders need to set an example for what the tone of this country ought to be. I really hate to use the saying, but a fish will rot from the head. I'm not saying that that's us right now, but I am saying that's where it will start. So it is my sincere hope that our leaders will not use this moment to inflame like others want to. I hope that we can look ahead together. Our enemies, when they see us, they need to see a united country because at the end of the day, they don't care about the parties. They care about taking us down. So there is a lot of responsibility. Now, in terms of the politics, I don't want to get too far into it, but we do have a Republican National Convention, which is what we should have been talking about because it is kicking off today. Trump is in Milwaukee right now, and he says that he really does believe he would have died at that incident. And it's true. It was a close call. And I think this moment is going to shift the campaign. But also, Trump, I don't know if he'll continue to be his divisive self, but I would think that after a near-death experience of this sort, someone would take stock. He has called for unity, inviting old foes like Nikki Haley to speak at the convention. And President Trump just announced his pick for Vice President, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. I delayed production for this episode because I was keeping my eye on footage for our coverage of the convention, so we weren't able to write it into the script. But it's a very exciting time, even though we've had such a traumatic event as a country. So today has a more somber tone, but starting tomorrow, we'll pick back up with coverage of the Republican National Convention. We will talk about Senator Vance and a lot more. So thank you so much for joining us today. You can check out the Ishan S Show on X and Instagram. You can subscribe on YouTube right now, and you can subscribe to the Political News blog. We'll see you tomorrow for more coverage of the Republican National Convention.